What's up guys, Vi here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a complete guide to summoner spells. Now in patch 4.5 and 4.6 there were a lot of different changes to summoner spells, basically meaning that every lane apart from the jungle is now taking a different combination. Now we're going to be looking at what each lane should be taking in different situations, but also why you should take them. Now it's all good taking the summoner, but if you don't know why and you don't know how you're supposed to use it, then it's not really going to do you much good. Now the footage you're watching is semi-relevant I guess, but it's more there as background to what I'm saying. So let's jump into the first part of this with the best summoners right now and why. We'll start with the ones that haven't really been changed, and that's Flash and Ghost. Now Flash is pretty much a must-have for everyone, and the best reason why is to just think about how differently you play when your opponent's Flash is on cooldown. So they are going to have to play safer to make sure they don't get ganked, they can't flash to kill you, they can't escape if they get caught, and you'll probably look to go aggressive and kill them in lane. Now not having flash is dealing with all of these things throughout the whole game. Obviously there are a few exceptions like Yi or Shaco jungle, but even then it's going to be a risk not taking flash. So the big change that has rocked the boat completely is heal. Now there are a couple of reasons apart from the obvious healing as to why the spell is so good. So heal is primarily a defensive spell. It heals you and it lets you escape, but one of the reasons why it's better than barrier is because you can use it offensively as well. The movement speed means that you either use it to run away from someone, or you can use it to speed you and an ally up to catch someone. The other thing is that in team fights it means that you can gain some distance from someone, and it gives you a kind of form of escape, which is really good for champions that don't have dashes in their kit already. The other thing that makes it better than barrier is that it heals an ally too, so whether it's a 2v2 bot lane fight or in a team fight, it means that you can save your ally and gives you more of an overall boost than barrier would. Now let's not forget the barrier does block slightly more damage than heal does, so for example if Syndra ults you, then you're more likely to survive it with barrier than you are going to be with heal. The problem really is that barrier is like a selfish spell, it's just for you, so heal is going to help your team way more. Now the other major change with patch 4.5 was exhaust, because now it reduces the target's damage by 50% and it had a pretty huge range increase, meaning that it's easier to put it on one of their carries in a fight. Now reducing someone's damage by 50% for 2.5 seconds is a lot of time and can really screw certain champions up. Zed is probably the biggest example I can give you. Now if Zed jumps into a fight with his ultimate and he's exhausted, then he's used all of his spells and he's not going to kill anything, which means Zed's team is probably going to lose the fight. It's also a really good counter to Feral Flare junglers right now, because they jump in to try and kill someone, they get exhausted, and all of a sudden they don't do any damage or are simply kited around. So finally, Ignite is still good, but only if you're going to be killing your lane opponent, because it's not as effective in team fights as an exhaust or a heal. There isn't really much to say about Ignite because it wasn't really changed at all, it's just other things changing, and it's still a very good summoner, but it's just less effective against heal. That's the reason it's not used in bot lane as much right now. Now barrier used to only block roughly 2 ticks of Ignite before it ended, but heal now is giving that health to the champion rather than just blocking the damage for a short period of time, meaning that they are way more likely to survive the Ignite. The last spell that I want to talk about is Teleport, because this spell is probably the most broken spell in the game right now, but it's difficult to use, which is why it just doesn't seem that strong. Now it's so good because you pretty much can't lose your lane if you take TP. You do a bad trade, maybe you die, but you can just TP back to lane and do that pretty much every 3 minutes. Now it's so hard for the enemy to make you miss any CS unless they freeze, which is kind of going to be unlikely in solo queue, so it's a great choice just for that on its own. But then what happens if you're winning your lane? Well, you just shove the wave to the tower, you TP for a dragon or bot lane, and you just ram them from behind. TP is a great way of having an impact on the rest of the map, especially in solo queue. So now we've covered all the summoner spells that have changed and we kind of understand why we're taking them, I'm going to run down what I think are the best choices for each lane. Now instead of saying this for every lane, you should either take Flash or Ghost as one of your summoner spells, and I think that's mandatory. Also, just to clarify, certain champions can take really strange combinations, but this isn't what I'm going to be focusing on. I'll be doing what is going to be best in 99% of your games and situations. So for top lane, you want to take Teleport, Ignite or Exhaust. Now Teleport is good for having an impact in the rest of the map, and it's also good for champions who take a little longer to get going like Jax or Ryze. Also to note, when you see these champions in solo queue, you should just assume that they're going to take TP. So you either have to take TP to go with them when they TP out of lane, or you take Ignite or Exhaust and you kill them in lane. Now I just want to mention Exhaust very quickly because it's only really good in certain situations. Now one of these is Jack's late game. He's going to be a pain in the ass, but he's probably going to try and split push all day and kill you under your turret. Now by taking Exhaust, it means that when it's up, he can never 1v1 you because Exhaust hurts him so badly. Moving on to mid lane, you want to really take Ignite, Heal or Exhaust. Now Heal is good for champions that have no escape like Twisted Fate or Syndra. Ignite is good if you think you're going to kill your opponent, and Exhaust is good against champions that want to kill you in a very short space of time. Now a good example of this is kind of LeBlanc or Syndra. Now if they jump on you, then you can Exhaust and their ultimates aren't ever going to do enough damage to kill you through it. For AD, it's normally always best to take heal in this current meta. Now this is because in 2v2 fights you can heal your support as well as you, and basically if they have heal and you don't, then they're going to win every early fight, which is really not good. It also means that late game you can gain some move speed and escape when people dive onto you, and admittedly most of the top laners right now have gap closers, so you kind of need this escape. So finally for supports, you can either run another heal or it's just easier to run Exhaust. Now if you exhaust the enemy AD during a fight, then they'll have no choice but to back off until it's over. Running another heal isn't great when you use them together, but if you space them out and even use them aggressively, then it can work out really well to have two still. This is why I said it's easier to have Exhaust than Heal, because Heal requires some coordination, and in solo queue that's not really top of the list that you're going to find. So that covers everything you need to know about summoner spells right now, so good luck in your games and I'll see you in my next video.